How the full moon dramatically affects our romantic relationships. The sun and moon are opposite one another during a full moon, which creates a yin and yang effect between solar and lunar energy, so that harmony and order can be achieved. This supercharged polar battle shines a bright light on the opposing forces of nature within us all, causing the dark and light to engage in a brutal battle for balance. The moon rules our emotions, and the full moon can amplify them dramatically, which can lead to a mix of miracles, mayhem and, at times, madness. During a full moon, the radiant moon's glow in the sky is brighter than at any other time of the month. This allows us an opportunity to see what is usually hidden, which includes the visible and the invisible. For example, becoming more aware of our own physical behaviors and emotions. Humans consist of approximately 70% water, and in a similar way to how the moon's gravitational pull affects the ocean, it also pushes, pulls, and stirs up our emotions. Within our relationships, this can cause existing issues to come to a head, and many find themselves experiencing tremendous personal shifts, which can lead to closer connections, breakups, or some form of drama to erupt. Due to the powerful lunar energy causing inner turmoil, many of us feel frazzled for the few days before and after the full moon. However, this is an opportune time to smooth out any ruffles and issues, particularly ones involving our loved ones. Ironically, despite the fact that the moon's hectic energy can cause romantic chaos, we desperately want and crave heart-centered connections, and yet, sometimes the opposite happens, and we take things the wrong way, pushing one another to the edge of extremes. One thing for certain is that when the enchanting full moon illuminates and dazzles in the night sky, everything comes to the forefront to be seen. Many of us spend full moon days introspecting and reflecting, so that we can identify and release what no longer serves us, and this serves as a catalyst for forward advancement in our romantic lives. Although it can feel as though everything comes to a head at once, our minds will be crystal clear and will be busy logically working out which aspects of our lives we need to work harder on, and which we need to purge and let go of. Full moons clear out old, negative energies to make way for fresh, positive, new beginnings, which is why we often feel edgy, triggered, and quite argumentative during this period. As we go through an emotional unearthing and cleansing phase, past emotions may surface, so that they receive the chance to be healed and resolved. Therefore, anything that is lingering in our hearts and minds will likely find their way to the surface. We may find ourselves reaching out to those we've been temporarily estranged from. This is a vulnerable period for many who are highly sensitive to the moon's energy, and though vulnerability is often seen as a weakness, it humbly draws us to our knees and opens our hearts. Vulnerability isn't a state for the faint-hearted. Therefore, if we are willing to abandon our ego and communicate authentically, vulnerability can be one of our greatest allies and strengths. Full moons are typically the days when we find out what other people think of us, and this can work both ways, positively or negatively. The reason for this is that we are generally less fearful when the moon is full above us, and this allows us to express our deepest heartfelt emotions either by sharing secrets with a close friend, confessing how we truly feel to a loved one, or letting those dearest to us know how much they mean. However, while we are under the full moon spell, we may also find ourselves projecting our anger or irritation onto others, or find that other people are projecting their frustrations onto us. Usually, people find that they struggle to contain what they've been thinking or feeling when the full moon arrives, and they uncontrollably churn out harsh words that they later wish they had kept to themselves. This is why it is vital during this period to meditate often and remain grounded, as, otherwise, we risk absorbing the emotions of those around us. If we do not remain in the present moment during a full moon, we will end up carrying other people's emotional loads, and along with the weight of our own emotions, we could easily become overwhelmed and fatigued by it all. On a full moon, it is highly recommended to refrain from being pulled into heated arguments and disagreements with those around us. It usually feels like we are more irritable than usual during the full moon, though what's actually happening is that our intuition spikes, we are far more hypersensitive, and our awareness of everything occurring in our lives is heightened. Therefore, we are simply noticing the things that existed throughout the rest of the month, but subconsciously, we've turned a blind eye. During a full moon, insights arrive in sudden bursts of information, providing liberating answers to the silent questions we have been deliberating in our minds. This supports us in getting to the root of what causes persistent patterns, unhealthy habits, and destructive dynamics within our relationships. Many of us feel empowered during a full moon to be authentic in our dealings with loved ones and to find our voice and frankly speak our truth. The most important thing to remember is that if we do not want to burn bridges, we must try to be compassionate, so we can express our thoughts and feelings with tact and care, rather than through irrational, emotion-fueled outbursts. The full moon phase encourages us to dig deep into our souls. This takes us through a beautiful metamorphosis as we purge the huge mass of built-up feelings and emotions, all the thoughts, beliefs, and truths that we normally try to reject or deny forcefully spill out. Whenever we are faced with extremes, we also receive the opportunity for dramatic transformation. Therefore, as much as full moons feel turbulent, they always serve our best interest and are a vital component for our personal growth and for reaching the highest version of ourselves possible. We can waste vast amounts of energy due to suffering for what we no longer have or what we wish for in the future. Our minds can play endless games, rushing to the past to yearn over romantic losses and then darting toward our illusions of the future, without slowing down so we can consider and appreciate what we have now. Many of us notice the impact of the full moon up to 5 days before and 5 days after it peaks, though generally, it is at its most intense on the day before, the day of its fullness, and the day right after. The moon is known to greatly impact our romantic relationships. However, we will likely also experience similar intense communications within our relationships with friends and family members. The thing to remember is to communicate with loving kindness and to listen intently before choosing to respond gently, rather than with angry, knee-jerk reactions. One thing for sure is that thanks to the amplified beam of the moon, we are never the same person at the end of the phase as we were before it started. Help Ghostika raise the vibrations and share this video with your family and friends.